Hey guys, this is Daniel Bloodworth, and I'm working on the review for Gran Turismo 6, but it's not quite done yet. But I wanted to give my first thoughts on the game as it stands right now. You know, there's a couple of factors as to why we're not done with the review yet. Number one is that despite Sony's best efforts, I actually wasn't able to start on the game right away. I was already traveling for Thanksgiving by the time it came in. And number two is that as of now, which is Wednesday afternoon, the online services have not gone up yet. So even if I had been able to get through the single player a bit earlier, I wouldn't be able to play online just yet. So you know, we're just kind of waiting to see how that shakes out and put some more time into the game. But I've been playing it for about 2.5 days at this point, and you know, it's got a habit of giving me, you know, a good thing here and then a bad thing there, and trying to sort it all out. My mind is been an ongoing process of highs and lows. You know, you kind of start out, you know, with the typical tutorial on Brands Hatch, doing a test drive to get you familiar with the controls and things. I'm kind of blown away that Gran Turismo still has face buttons as the default on controllers. I know that a lot of you use wheels, and that they seem to expect people to use wheels for this game. But as somebody who typically plays with the controller, it's mind-boggling to think of playing through some of these challenges and events with the face buttons instead of the triggers. You just, you know, even if they're pressure sensitive, there's just way more room to play on with the triggers going in and out. Another thing I noticed right off the bat is that it has blind side indicators now, so that you can get a sense of peripheral vision, which I think is really nice. I think that's something that should be standard in racing games, and it's not really. And you can turn them off if you want, but I don't feel like that's cheating. That's just, you know, making up for the limited field of view that you have in a video game compared to your real life peripheral vision, and being able to glance at your mirrors without any effort. I think the career progression is pretty nice. It seems to flow really well. Essentially, you know, it's split into 6 different classes, from novice through national settings and then to international. And basically, you can kind of tackle it how you want. Under each class, there's a group of races, and for each race you earn a star for completing it, you earn a star for 3rd place, and then you earn a star for 1st place, and then you unlock more events within that class with a certain number of stars, and at the end of the class you'll get a license test. So you know, you can try out a bunch of different things. You don't have to do every single race to progress. They have, after you've done some races, you also unlock what they call coffee break events, where they have like various missions and cones to knock over and things like that. They also have what they call eco challenges, which I think is, man, I think that's really cool, because I feel like a lot of games don't do this. So essentially what they do is they give you 1 liter of fuel, and you have 2 minutes to make it as far as you can on that liter. And so you have to just really, you know, balance out how much throttle you're using, and you know, when to coast down a hill and when to jump back on the throttle, and figuring out, like, okay, is it better to do burst of speed and then coast, or is it better to keep on a slow burn the whole way through? It's just a real fun, like, test of managing your resources there. Another thing that they've got in there are the Goodwood hill climbs. It's kind of like a rally style race. Which is a really quick section, but they give you, you know, all of these different cars to try it out on. And so that's something I like, is that they're constantly, you know, they're not locking you into that grind of like, okay, move up from, you know, the little compacts and the hatchbacks to the sedans and all of this. You get to move around a lot to different types of cars. They do give you gift cars as you make certain accomplishments, which is nice. You know, I think I've already got about a dozen different cars in my garage. You know, I've got an old Trans Am that I bought. I've got a go-kart. You know, and they, you know, they're boasting they're 1,200 cars in this game. Oh, one thing that's great is that they've refined the dealerships, so you no longer have this weird divide between standard and premium cars in the dealerships. You can buy everything from the same dealership, and you don't have to go through this like random draw of luck to see whether you can get a used car or what have you that they had in GT5. Oh, another thing that they do is that for any class after the novice class, they'll have recommended cars, so that way, you know, you can quickly go in and say, I just want a car to compete in this type of race. And in most cases it's there. There's like a go-kart or something that I had to go into the dealership and find, but that wasn't too big of a deal because there's not a lot of karts to choose from, so you don't have to wade through all those cars. One thing that I will say is that they gave me this fact sheet, and one of the first things I looked for is like, okay, what's the divide between standard and premium? And they claim that, okay, standard cars now they're all up to PS3 spec. The only thing that they're missing now is that they don't have modeled interiors. You know, they have that black flat screen that we saw them patched in with GT5. This is almost like a bold-faced lie. If you put, and I've done this with a 2006, I believe, and a 1999 S2000. If you put those cars side by side, you can very easily tell which is the standard and which is the premium. They are not on the same level whatsoever, and I would not say that the standard cars are what I would call PS3 spec. Maybe, you know, what you would see in like an action game or an open world game, that would be the level of car detail, but not a driving game by any means. These are still very low detail cars, very low level polygon models, you know, just textures for headlights and taillights. They're not pretty. But they, you know, they at least they let you take them into photo mode now. Visual inconsistencies are still all over the place. It's a little frustrating that, you know, I look to Gran Turismo from their trailers to be one of the most, you know, stunning visual masterpieces on PlayStation, and GT6 just, it's not. It still has a lot of the same mess. I mean, they've cleaned some things up. Interior shadows are better, but exterior shadows out on the track are still funky all over the place. You still have like a lot of things popping in, just like crowds popping in, like in waves. And then you see things like, you know, those weird trees that they're not only flat, but like they have like this weird like interlacing screen that you can kind of see through them and stuff like that in the background. It's a little weird there. Same thing, the AI is not really, well, I think it's improved, but it's not great. I had one annoying race where I was with in a Nissan GTR black, and there's another Nissan, and you know, I would just consistently, every time I would attempt it, like the other car would just bump into me. I'm like, we're the only two cars on the track, man. I think you could probably try to avoid me, but it feels as if it's just completely unaware of my presence at times. But you know, I'm also disappointed with the audio. I feel like the cars sound like vacuum cleaners instead of like this big burly V8. And again, in that Trans Am, like I had to look up, you know, like I know what a Trans Am's supposed to sound like, but I looked it up just to compare. I was like, yeah, I'm not crazy. Like, it's supposed to sound a lot better than this. But at the same time, okay, I have all those gripes out of the way, I'm getting to some really cool stuff. I'm getting, you know, there's some great tracks that I'm coming across. There's this new track called or maybe it's not new, but I don't remember it. It's called the Matterhorn, and it feels like a roller coaster. Like you go way out the side of this mountain and then drop down, and you have to like really stay in control of your car. If you try to do it too fast, you're just gonna spin out. So it's a real test of speed and just a lot of winding corners through there. I also got to just do my first like race that goes from like day until night, and it transitions over the sunset into like starry skies, and that was really cool. Surprise, surprise, the game has lunar exploration, where you're getting a lunar rover and go uphill or downhill or bump into cones that are floating around, and there's all this, you know, low gravity, really neat stuff. So, you know, as I said, I'm still working my way through the game. I'm still having thoughts pulling me one way or another. I know some people want to know about microtransactions. As I said, I can't do any of the online stuff. I know that there's like some, you know, system where you can buy 1 million credits per pack or whatever, but I don't know what the cost of those is. You still have tons of cars that are, you know, 20 million credits or whatever. So I don't know that it would be reasonable for anyone to think that they can get all of the cars in Gran Turismo 6. You know, but I also don't know that like microtransactions is actually feeding, you know, into them, making it more grindy. I feel like this kind of mechanic has been in these racing games for a long time. And like I said, Gran Turismo is giving you a lot of cars along the way, so it's not like you're stuck with a car for a while. And even though the payouts are low in certain events, you know, you're still getting enough variety just through the different things that are available to you. But anyways, yeah, that's sort of where I'm at right now. I'm not really sure, you know, for people who want to know, is it better than Forza or not? They have different strengths. I'm not really sure whether I'm going to rank it higher or lower than Forza. We'll see. I'll have the weekend to make up my mind. But look forward to the review early next week.